Good afternoon, everybody. There's a slight change of plan at the moment, because I thought instead of buttoning up the rear mudguard and the seat back on the bike, an oil change is overdue. And this bike uses oil, doesn't blow out clouds of smoke, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it just uses oil. So generally speaking, I just keep it topped up, and that appears to be sufficient. But I thought this time it would be good to do a proper oil change, which means filter change as well. And in order to do that, I've taken it off the stand, because the stand is over here, and I've put the bike on the side stand because to me it's easier to get at the underneath of the bike in order to get to the filter and the drain plug excuse me, rather than trying to manipulate arms and fingers through the gaps within here. And the trouble is, if I put this hydraulic platform back under the bike, the filter sits right on here. So even though you can get to the filter, you wouldn't be able to prevent the oil from completely covering this mechanism. So I've decided the best thing to do is to move it out of the way, put it back on the ground, and do it from there. Now the problem is that I've only got one camera, and I'm not flexible enough to be able to crawl underneath and film at the same time. So I thought I'd do a talk through first, then do it, and then let you know if I had any difficulties. Okay, so that's what I propose to do. I haven't started the bike to warm up the oil yet, but that will be coming along eventually. Excuse me, summer cold. Right, so what I've done in order to prepare for the oil change, I've got a few things ready. One is I've got some oil. This, in fact, this container is 1540, but I do have some 1040. I'm also using, sorry about the fingers, I'm just trying to hold this bloody thing. I'm also using conventional oil filters, which are, this is a Champion. It's number 204, but the other one, the high flow filter, is numbered as a sorry, God, what is it called? 204. So we've got a 102 and a 204, and they're both exactly the same. So I don't see that it will be a problem. Now, in order to get the filter off, you can either use a filter wrench like this, where you encircle the filter with the chain, hook it on, and then turn it off. This is a bit awkward, really, and I've used it a couple of times, but I'm not going to use it this time. Instead, I bought myself a filter wrench, which, as you can see, fits on there. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be using. Let's put that away there. Now, just to show you, you might not be able to see this. I thought it was being clever here, but I don't know if it's going to work. But this is the underneath of the engine, and you will see down there is the filter, and just about here somewhere is the drain plug. Now they're awkward to get to, and in fact I've found out that my drain plug is damaged. I've loosened it off, but I'm going to have to consider a replacement, and I think I've got one, but I'm not quite sure. I'll be able to compare it when I get it out. Okay, so I've just broken the seal on the drain plug, which is there, and I've broken the seal on the filter, so they're ready to come off once the oil is warmed up. Now, as I said, the filler for the oil is this threaded cap on top of the clutch housing, and the sight window for the level of the oil is down under here. Now you can see that there is no oil showing in the glass because the bike is leaning over to the left on its side stand, and that's what happens. The oil flows to the left and it doesn't always show in the sight glass. But I'm going to save putting the oil in until I get the bike back up on the hydraulic platform, because you need the bike vertical in order to do an accurate check of the oil level. Now the other dilemma is that in order to remove as much oil as possible, I'm going to have to get this bike as vertical as I can whilst it's on the ground. Now that is a little bit precarious, so I'm going to use a wooden block underneath the side stand to get it more vertical, and just play around with blocks so I can get it as near to vertical as possible without the thing tipping over. So working on your own, just be very careful and think about what you're doing, and try and avoid, wherever possible, accidents, okay, because it's painful. All right, now the other thing that I won't be able to show you until I get the bike up on the hydraulic platform prior to the oil change is that there is a sorry, let me just find it. I'm looking at the workshop manual, and there is an implement called an oil screen, which, if you follow my fingers here, it's this, sorry, focus isn't very good, it's this assembly here. Now it's hard to get to, but it's advised to clean that out whenever you do an oil change. The difficulty with the oil screen is that it's all sprung loaded, and it's easy, because I've seen it done before, it's easy to cross thread, which can then be a bloody nightmare. So we're going to just treat that very gently and carefully, and hopefully we won't have any problem, but that will come later. All right, so as far as this lot is concerned, I've got an old oil can, plastic oil can with a hole cut in it. That's going to drain the oil. That's going to be, sorry, for draining the oil. And I've got a container of used oil, which I recycle it through there and give it to the lads in the workshop next door. Okay, so that's basically what you need. Because my, just as an added bit of information, because my oil drain plug is damaged, I've had to use one of these adjustable wrenches in order to loosen it off, because neither a 15 nor a 16 or 17 spanner will get a grip of that. So this is what I've come to. And I think I damaged this when I was trying to get it up on a trailer maybe a couple of years ago, and thought no more of it. But it's damaged. It's removable, but it does need to be replaced. So that's what this next little enterprise is going to be. Like I said, it's going to be difficult to film anything of this, so I'm not going to even try. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. So get one final time, the logical progress of this is warm the engine oil. So I'm going to run the bike for about 5 minutes, get the oil warm so it flows, picks up any sediment that might be around, and I'll have a look at that when we drain it into this oil can. So then you drain all the oil off, replace the filter, and the idea is on the filter housing, underneath that bit of plastic, you'll see an O-ring, is to smear some oil on there before you put it back on the bike. It just helps to seal that seal. And because the filter goes in horizontally like that, you can't pre-fill the filter, so that when you do finally get round to adding the oil, you need to run it for a few minutes and then check the oil level again, because obviously this takes about a cupful, so your level in the sight window will change, so you might need to add a bit before it's finally full. Okay, so I'm going to replace the drain plug, replace the oil filter, and then put the bike up on the stand, service the oil screen, which is on the other side, low down on the engine. Do that before any oil is put in there, and then we can check everything and give the oil a chance to circulate and refill until it's bob on, and then we can go back to putting on the rear mudguard and fitting the seat. Okay, I've also noticed that because the bike is so old, it's gone a bit rusty underneath. So previously this morning I wire brushed the frame underneath, and I've given it a coat of paint. Standard maintenance. I don't think there's any adverse effect from the surface rust, but it's going through an MOT within the next 2 weeks, and hopefully they'll pick anything up if there's anything to be picked up. But I'm fairly confident it's going to be all right. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So the next time you see this, it should be up on the platform, ready for the oil to go in. And if I've had any difficulty during this process, then I'll highlight that and let you know. Okay, so until I see you again, thank you very much. Please pass this on to anybody who might be interested, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.